Boiselle of Team Jaguar did battle with recent UCLA graduate Tom Kendall of Jim Miller's Chevy team, and with 2 laps remaining, wrote their names in the history books.
Watch the Jaguar driver hugging the inside once again. Kendall tries the outside. He may go around it one more time. Boiselle, hang on. He's off defense right now. Block that Chevy. That's all that's in his mind. Don't think Tom can do it. It's just a little. He's not going to make it. Boiselle's going to do it.
And Boiselle is the champion, the winner. Round 1 went to Team Jaguar by less than 0.8 of 1 second. Now, with one half of the IMSA season over, we move to round 2 of the Nissan Triple Crown and the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It's the Preakness for the prototype, but these horses are real horses. GP points leader Chip Robinson of Nissan, who is coming off 2 consecutive wins. One in Topeka, and last week in Lime Rock. And Jaguars' Davy Jones, who celebrated his 27th birthday with fiancée Mary Elizabeth Meekum this week, and who's had his ups and downs this year. Like last week, when after leading the race, Jones ran into slower traffic, putting him into the pits and giving him a 7th place finish. But in 1991, the Chevy Intrepid has made its mark, even though its team has not been able to pull a victory out of their pockets. Driver Wayne Taylor has faced his own brand of frustration. In Lime Rock, Taylor rammed Lights leader Parker Johnstone and put him on his back. But things are looking up for the Intrepid team. Driver Tom Kendall has taken his 2nd consecutive pole position by setting a new Mid-Ohio track record during qualifying. Yes, it's the showdown of the muscle men in the muscle cars at Mid-Ohio. NBC Sports presents the Nissan Triple Crown of IMSA. Today's race, the Grand Prix of Ohio from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Racing in Mid-Ohio began in 1962 as a track for local sports car enthusiasts. But through its 30 racing seasons, it's grown to be one of the best road circuits in the world. Much of its contemporary look and prominence can be attributed to IndyCar owner and businessman Jim Truman, who purchased Mid-Ohio in 1981. Jim died of cancer in 1986. But his wife Barbara has kept up the image of Mid-Ohio as a track that focuses on family entertainment. Like the recent Just Say No kid sports car race.
Get set!
The cars were cardboard, and the engines were kid-powered. But don't tell them that. There was still plenty of action. There were even pit stops, where moms and dads had to change socks and shoes, as the competition was intense among these future IMSA drivers. But for the big boys, the conditions at Mid-Ohio couldn't be better. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joel Myers, and welcome to the Nissan Triple Crown of IMSA. Today, it's the 2nd leg of this series as we're in Mid-Ohio. Again with us on our coverage, an 11-year veteran of this circuit. He's been behind the wheel many, many times. Bill Adam, and Bill, like we talked about it in Miami, a race within a race, as we'll be watching 2 different divisions.
Well, very much so. Even though the cars we are watching appear to be identical, they are in fact quite different in a number of ways. The full prototypes are cars that have exotic turbocharged engines capable of more than 800 horsepower, incredibly fast machines. But the next class down, the cars that look the same, are the light class. These cars run without the benefit of turbochargers, so they maybe work with 350 to 400 horsepower. Incredibly competitive, and yet This year, one man, Parker Johnstone, and the Acura has run off and hidden with the class.
Now, when we last got together in Miami, it looked like it was going to be a phenomenal season for Team Jaguar, with Raul Boisel coming up with that big win at the Grand Prix of Miami. It hasn't turned out that way, though.
It has been a season of frustration. That at Miami, everything looked like it was going right. They did have a problem with Davy Jones' car, but past that, Davy Jones has dominated up until the last few laps. And here, disaster has struck him twice in a row. With only a couple laps to go, Davy has lost the race to Nissan. Here we go again. Nissan is coming back with a supposedly obsolete car. But maybe the real sleeper of the year is the Intrepid, the Chevrolet that we saw briefly at Miami. Tommy Kendall has learned this car faster than anyone thought possible. Both Intrepids are on the front row, with Tom Kendall, his second pole of the year.
Also with us on our coverage today in Mid-Ohio, Brian Hammonds and Rick DeBrule. And right now, Rick is down in the pit area on the starting grid with the pole sitter. Rick?
Tom Kendall in the new Chevy Intrepid has proven this year he is fast. He's qualified on the pole. He has led races. What he hasn't gotten are the breaks. Last race, for example, he and teammate Wayne Taylor came together. As a result, they were both knocked back to key position. This weekend, had an engine problem. Wasn't able to practice at all on Friday. I guess the question, Tom, now is, can you change your luck?
Well, I hope so. I've been doing everything in my control, but sometimes that's not enough. And the team as well, you know, the ICI EDS team, this is the best in the business. And if hard work counts for anything, I think our luck has changed.
Do you get more cautious as a result of this?
I don't think so. You know, I had the same sort of start to Trans Am last year. Everyone said we were the dominant car, yet we hadn't won a race. So I think the worst thing you can do is change what you've been doing and what works for you. And, you know, racing luck will come back around, and just keep doing what you've been doing.
Well, Tom Kendall is searching for some of that luck. The man who has a lot of it is with Brian Hammonds right now.
Chip Robinson has won 2 straight races. He leads the championship point standings, and he will start this race on the outside of row number 2. And Chip, if momentum means anything in this sport, you're in for a good day.
Well, the last 2 races have gone well, and this weekend has really gone pretty well, considering I'm actually in my spare car, and we had some problem with the primary, but this one came up to speed very quickly, so I'm optimistic right now.
What is your strategy today?
Well, I don't know. I'm just going to go as fast as I can for as long as I can. You know, those yellow cars up in the front row are tough, and Tommy and Wayne, I know, are going to be tough, and of course Davey is going to be tough. I mean, everybody in the top 8 here has the potential to win the race, so I think it's kind of try to stay out of trouble and see what's going to happen in the last half hour of the race.
Chip Robinson trying to become the first man to win 3 races this year.
All right, Brian, let's take a look now at the 2.25-mile, 13-turn Mid-Ohio course with someone who's made this trip a number of times, Bill Adam.
On perhaps what is the nicest racing facility in North America. Very unique because back here on the back straight at 160 miles an hour is the start. Used here for the safety, the luxury of a long straight after that green flag falls. And a tight S is down at the end of the straight here. We're back down into 3rd gear, but look at the elevation changes up ahead. As we crest this hill, a reverse camber corner. The car tries to slide to the outside, but you can't. You're faced with a tight right, and immediately up ahead, more elevation problems as you run through S's. The car is really trying to get to the outside here. Look, right over against the wall, hard into the inside, and watch for this. The track falls away. Look at this. You're getting 800 horsepower down. The back of the car wants to slide out. You're back up to 160 miles an hour along through this valley, and carefully at this point. We're heading towards a tricky spot known as the carousel. Look at how tight this is. We're all the way down to 2nd gear. Out on the inside, accelerate gently because the car wants to get sideways. Here is where the finish line will be, right across in the pits, but you can't watch too long. Up ahead, 125-mile-an-hour corner. Very, very fast corners that feed onto this long last straight. Straight up ahead, you watch for the braking markers. Very heavy braking. Hard. 3rd gear, 2nd gear. Tuck it in tight to the keyhole area. Hold the car on the inside and feed in power gently. Squeeze on that power. Now full throttle. The car fights you. Back 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear as we're back up to 170 miles an hour. Completes our lap at Mid-Ohio.
And we're ready for the 83-lap race, covering 300 kilometers as opposed to what we saw in Miami when it was a timed event. And now, the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team, Randy Ayers, with those 4 magical words.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
The Chevy Intrepids are up front. And when we come back, we'll be taking a look at the starting grid. We'll be ready for the green flag as the celebration continues from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
Nissan Triple Crown of IMSA. Brought to you by Nissan, built for the human race. By Budweiser, the king of beers, with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By durable weather beater paint, only at Sears, the home of America's craftsmen. And by Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
This is the Tiffany Trophy that will go to the winner of the Nissan Triple Crown of IMSA. Started in Miami after today's race in Ohio. On the 23rd of June, you'll be able to see the final leg. Right here on NBC, it's the Nissan Grand Prix de Mardi Gras. It'll be a lot of fun because that will be the first ever race in that city, and it will be in the streets of New Orleans, going right along the French Quarter. The leader of the Nissan Triple Crown of IMSA right now, Raul Boisel, who took the Grand Prix of Miami. Tommy Kendall in second place. And Bill, we're just past the midway point of the 14-race Camel GT Series. A look now at the Castrol starting grid, brought to you by Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
On the pole for the third time this season, Tom Kendall in the Chevy Intrepid. Outside of Tom, position number 2 is his teammate. And this is perfect for Wayne Taylor. He can provide some backup assistance when the flag falls. But inside of row 2 is the first of the Jaguars, Davy Jones, the team leader in the fastest one. Chip Robinson sits alongside Davy. Now, Chip has won the last 2 events in the NPT 91 Nissan. A very unaccustomed third row is Jeff Brabham, the pole winner for the last 3 years. He is way back, but he is a winner. And Raul Boisel, the second of the Team Jaguars, also finishes up row 3. Row 4 will have Englishman James Weaver driving the Dyson Racing Porsche 962. Alongside James, the first of Dan Gurney's Eagles. Juan Fangio second, an Argentinian. Not a good season for Dan, but the new car is expected soon. The inside of row 5 has Bernd Schneider and John Winter in the Yost Racing Porsche 962. Alongside California Jim Adams and England's Perry McCarthy driving a Spice. Inside row 6 on all-team row is Brian Bonner with Jeff Klein in the number 4 Spice. And outside, their teammates in the number 5 car, Jeff Ferner and Tim McAdam. Starting row 7, the second of Dan Gurney's Toyotas with Rocky Moran, and listed is Willie T. Ribbs, although he probably won't be a co-driver today. Alongside the fastest of the light division, Parker Johnston, in what has become a remarkable string of pole positions this year for this particular division.
And looking at the rest of the field, David Tennyson, Charles Morgan, the team of Bonotto and Melgrati, Jim Pace, Evans and Boveda, Brown and Bottolo teaming up, Bob Earl, as well as Fuller and Knott. And remember, you are allowed to have a co-driver in IMSA Racing, but most of the teams are going with one driver. And we'll also have in-car cameras for you today with Chip Robinson, Royal Boisel, and Parker Johnstone. Interesting developments surrounding the Chevy team. Let's check in with Brian Hammonds.
There is some cause for concern here in the Wayne Taylor pits. During this morning's warm-up session, Taylor lost all oil pressure, so the crew changed motors after the warm-up session. They just completed that change, but they don't know yet if that will solve the problem. They are about to find out.
So some anxious moments for Team Chevy. The drivers right now waiting for the green flag. The adrenaline has to be pumping, Bill.
Well, I think what's going to take place here is very interesting. Wayne Taylor would like to stay alongside his teammate, but because of incidents in the past where they have bumped, how close do you stay? And remember that the start is taking place on the back straight, so that's going to benefit the car in second row right there. That number 2 Jaguar with a lot of horsepower.
They're looking for the green flag. And they get it. The Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio is underway.
And there's the show of Jaguar horsepower. You can see Davy Jones has moved around the number 2 Intrepid into second place. Going to be a very interesting opening lap because Kendall will try and use the very obvious downforce of that 65 Intrepid to stretch out a lead. He knows the Jaguar has more power and wants to build up a little bit of a cushion before they hit the straight at the end of lap 1.
Bill, I thought it was interesting that Davy Jones of Team Jaguar mentioned that he wants to run his own race, but at the same time he felt that the Chevy team was going to try to run away and hide.
Well, I think they would like to because they have to prove that they are a winning effort. And there's a little bit of added pressure this weekend that Wayne Taylor embarrassed himself and his team last week by losing the race at Lime Rock, and yet the man right ahead of Wayne, Davy Jones, did the same thing for Jaguar.
Cars have just passed the pit area and the finish line. An 83-lap race covering 300 kilometers.
This may be important right here. You can see that Tom Kendall in the lead car, the 65 car, was only able to pull out a fraction over the Jaguar on lap 1. Now, in the morning warm-up session, something very significant. The Jaguar, the number 2 Jag, was substantially faster than anybody else, even the Intrepids.
On board, but we're on top of the car of Chip Robinson. The camera is mounted on top of car number 84, the Nissan of Robinson's, to give you a better idea of what the driver's going through. And we'll also be monitoring the radio communication between Chip Robinson and his crew back in the pit area.
Chip has really played a very smart game over the last 2 races. By just playing a little bit of a waiting game, he's come in with 2 victories and a car that a lot of people are saying is no longer competitive with the leading edge of technology.
And at the start of the season, you would have thought that the momentum belonged to his teammate who we're looking at right now in car number 83, Jeff Bravo. Back to the leaders, Tom Kendall, car number 65, leading car number 2 of Team Jaguar, Davy Jones.
And as Tom comes in, you saw him just hit a balloon there, and immediately behind, you watch Davy take evasive action. Davy wasn't sure at that point what it was, didn't even know it was a balloon. Just instinctively swerved the Jaguar out of the path, whatever that was.
More of those balloons finding their way, unfortunately, back on the racetrack aboard Chip Robinson's car, and unbelievably spun out this early.
He did. The back of the car got loose. We saw Brabham make it safely past the nose, but Chip is getting back on the track. Over the curb a little bit, and there's Perry McCarthy. He's buying the number 10 Spice.
So problems for Chip Robinson, who's already picked up 2 wins this year. Let's look.
We can see that the car just broke loose. Chip probably got into the corner a little too deep under braking. Because of the weight transfer, the rear wheels could lock up. But it's a good, safe spot to spin. No damage. Pulling back on here. Just watch as the cars come along. There's Perry McCarthy. He was able to see Chip well in advance, so there really wasn't a problem, even though from this standpoint it did look close for a moment.
Robinson back on the track and sparks coming out, but those shouldn't be cause for concern.
No, we have seen this in the past, and the Nissan does put special strips on the bottom of the car to make an allowance for this contact. There is no concern here.
Peter, is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's okay.
Chip Robinson talking to his crew chief, Peter Scott. Everything appears to be okay, but unfortunately it's not. He's gone again.
Well, unbelievable development. Twice in 1 lap now, Chip has gone off. This is not something you would normally see from a past IMSA champion.
So once again, Chip Robinson losing valuable time.
I went off again, Peter. The car is loose. I want you to look at the radiator and see how plugged up it is.
Now, what Chip has just said is the back of the car is not sticking as well as the front of the car, and he's asked his crew chief to take the same look that we're getting right now into the front. Look at this as he spins. You just see simply the car loses traction on the back end. What happened was Chip carried far too much speed into that corner. Got on the brakes a fraction too late. It's an ongoing balancing act with these cars, and he just overstepped the boundary by a tiny bit.
Again, looking at that camera that's mounted on the car of Chip Robinson aboard his Nissan.
And something interesting right there, Joel. I was able to listen to the engine sound. Chip braked very, very early for the keyhole. At this point, he does not have a lot of confidence in the car. And because of that, slowed the car down too early. He actually got back on the gas prior to entering the corner.
So problems early for Chip Robinson. We're looking out of the back of the 84 Nissan of Robinson to find out more on the developments. Let's go down to Rick DeRule.
Peter Scott is the crew chief for Chip Robinson. What's the problem with Chip's car?
They only took it out,
really.
give the check, bring it out here. Won't be competitive here today.
A little hot, I think, to catch up the leaders. He just went off. Everything seems to off.
You were set up for him to come in. Was that just in case?
Oh, yeah. If you have a spin, yeah, there's a chance of flat spots and tires, but he's doing it throughout again.
Here comes our leader, Tommy Kendall, on the stripe now to complete lap number 5. And it looks to me like the number 2.
So it's catch-up time now as we look at the leader. That's Tom Kendall, the Chevy Intrepid, followed very closely by the number 2 car of Team Jaguar and Davy Jones.
And look at this. Davy's trying up the outside. I don't think he's going to make it here under braking because that is a strength of the Intrepid. A very, very good car. But look at Davy. Really taking a typewriter right now, trying to fill up Tommy's mirrors as much as possible. Maybe draw some of his concentration away and push him into a mistake.
So Tom Kendall, the leader, and Davy Jones running second right now in some very tight waters early in the race. And Wayne Taylor, also with the Chevy team, not too far behind.
No, a perfect place for Wayne. What he wants to do, again, is to provide perfect backup, but not risk
missed contact with his car. That would just be too embarrassing twice in a row.
So a good start so far for Chevy and Jaguar. Right now, Tom Kendall, the pole sitter, still in the lead. Barely, though, over Davy Jones of Team Jaguar and his own teammate running third right now, Wayne Taylor. But at this earliest stage of the race, the leader in the lights division. So we welcome you back to the Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio. So Parker Johnstone, not a surprise to see him on top of the lights division. Followed closely, though, by the young man from Milan, Italy, Ruggero Malgrati.
This is a great battle right now. These are really the two high-tech cars in the light division. As we're back to the lead here, now look at this. Davy Jones continues to shadow that number 65 Intrepid. Davy tries to fill up the mirrors again to distract Tommy Kendall's concentration any little bit that he can.
You talked earlier about the advantage horsepower-wise that Davy Jones had in the straights. What about maneuverability?
Well, this is part of the equalizing formula that IMSA provides. The leading car, the number 65 Chevrolet, is a 6-liter car, 366 cubic inches approximately, puts out in excess of 700 horsepower. The Jaguar, the car, the number 2 car, is a turbocharged 3-liter car. Half the engine displacement size, but does have the benefit of a turbo. So ultimately, yes, it does produce more horsepower, but at a cost of fuel. He will use up more gas than the Intrepid will.
They have opened up a little bit of space on Wayne Taylor, who's running third. But again, Davy Jones looking like he's ready to make a move.
Davy is pushing very hard right now, and this is the closest he has been yet entering this back straight. This is where the Jag will get very close to the Intrepid down near the end of the straight. Watch as he tries to pick up some space. Now here's the middle point. Look at the horsepower. Incredible horsepower there as he blows past. And Kendall is coming back up alongside him. They're going to go through side by side through this corner. Fabulous racing, and Jones is staying alongside.
A battle for first place, and Davy Jones wins it, at least momentarily.
Oh, marvelous display of complete confidence. There was no contact between those cars, and yet they were both sliding side by side, but Jones does have the lead.
So Davy Jones taking the lead from Tom Kendall. Wayne Taylor still running third. In the GTP division, Parker Johnstone, the leader once again in the lights division.
When the camera zooms in on at the number 65 Intrepid, watch Tom Kendall's hands on the steering wheel. That car is so smooth.
IMSA Racing has really moved into almost space-age technology. With more on that, let's check in with Brian Hammonds.
Computers play a big part of racing in the 90s, especially with the Bud Light Jaguar team. They have a real-time telemetry system where an engineer can actually get readings from the car while it's on the racetrack. This machine measures all the temperatures, all the pressures. It also has a built-in honesty meter. When a driver comes in and says he's taking a particular corner flat out, this measures throttle response, so the team knows whether or not he's telling the truth.
All right, Brian, I guess we can expect polygraph tests down the line. The battle for second going on right now between two teammates from the Chevy Intrepid team. Tom Kendall in car number 65 running second, just ahead of Wayne Taylor in 64.
And I wonder what sort of emotion this is evoking in the Chevrolet pits, because this is what took place last week when the incident between those two cars accidentally took Tom Kendall out of the lead.
And there has been some talk before the race about possible strained relations between the two as we look at the lights leader, Parker Johnstone.
This is really a great story here, that last week this car ended up a wreck on its roof with nothing left. The crew have done an outstanding job rebuilding it.
We saw the problems earlier for Chip Robinson, spinning out twice on the same lap very early in the race. He is battling Rocky Moran now for 9th position. Moran, a teammate of Willie T. Ribbs, who you might remember made history a couple of weeks ago at the Indy 500 as Moran and Ribbs are teaming up in the Toyota Eagle today. Willie T. Ribbs, quite a story. He is here at the race today as a backup. Let's head down now and check in with Rick DeBrule.
You've driven IMSA GTO cars, you've driven the GTP cars. How do they compare to an Indy car?
Well, racing Indy, for example, everything is very precise. You know, I mean, everything is right on the edge because you're running so quick, and you know that if you make a mistake, it's going to be a big disaster. So you're concentrating very hard every single minute of the day.
You're here as a backup and test driver for Toyota. Where does your career go from here?
Well, I have my IMSA deal in Toyota. Pretty much time doing testing and backup driving. And I can't tell you about what's going to happen.
Looking out on the camera that's mounted on top of Chip Robinson's car, as we've just about completed lap 10 of the Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio. There's a good look at that. Car number 84 of Chip Robinson. He is back in the pack, though, as our leader is Davy Jones in the Bud Light Jaguar, followed by the two cars from Team Chevy, that of Tom Kendall and Wayne Taylor. And over the lights division, the leader continues to be Parker Johnstone over Rogero Melgrati. Johnstone over Melgrati in the lights division, but there you see the Bud Light Jaguar, the leader of the heavier division of the GTP cars of Davy Jones, and they do run the bigger cars just about 6 seconds per lap faster in the lights division. Parker Johnstone off to a great start this year, just like Davy Jones and the Bud Light Jaguar team. But there is quite a battle right now going on between Johnstone and Melgrati. Johnstone did have problems as we get a different perspective instead of looking out from a camera mounted like on top of the car of Chip Robinson. This camera is aboard looking in at Parker Johnstone right now. You get an idea of what great athletes these drivers are because they are bounced around a good deal.
You can get a great view there of what happens when a car starts to occupy your mirrors. You can watch Parker's eyes just flick back and forth, trying to keep an eye on where the following car was. But this car, the number 80 car, has really closed up significantly. Again, the leading car, the number 48 car, is Acura powered. The red car is Ferrari powered, and he is trying very hard to pass Johnstone right now.
Earlier today in the warm-ups, there was a problem with the throttle. It stuck wide open on Parker Johnstone. Unintended acceleration because of that. And they did have some suspension and body damage, but so far so good for the Acura Spice.
Again, this is entering the back straight right here. Now, this may be where the Melgrati car gets the shot at passing. This is the other Intrepid goes past. Melgrati it looks like loses a little bit in the mid-range acceleration to the Acura-powered car. Right down here at the end of the straight, this is the heavy braking area. Not close enough to try a pass yet.
Melgrati, 29 years old, from Milan, Italy. He had 4 wins last year in the light division in 14 starts.
These are identical Spice chassis from England. The one, of course, that the number 48 car is Acura powered, the number 80 car being Ferrari powered, and they have different brands of tires.
So the battle continues in very tight quarters between Parker Johnstone, car number 48, and Melgrati in car number 80. And the heavier car, you can see of Jeff Bramble right in the middle, number 83, the Nissan team.
This shows just how quick these cars are. That you'll see that the light cars are not in any way holding Brabham up. They're just as fast, and in some cases faster through the corners because they weigh less. Only on the straights do the prototypes pull away from them. Here we're watching Parker inside the car once again. Now look at him checking the mirrors. He has to watch for traffic coming up to lap him. And look at this. Now we got a pass taking place on the inside of the keyhole. Great late braking maneuver by Melgrati. Now they're on the straight, and I don't think Parker has a shot to get back by him again.
So on lap 15, Rogero Melgrati of Milan, Italy, has overtaken Parker Johnstone.
What Parker will want to do now is to try and occupy the mirrors of the number 80 car to make that driver lose that little bit of concentration and watch for him coming up. Parker can drive free for a lap. He has looked behind him on the straight. He knows there's nobody close to him. All he can concentrate on is what is immediately ahead of him, and that's going to help him go quickly.
Do you consider this somewhat of a surprise because Johnstone has dominated the lights division?
I am shocked, quite frankly. I didn't think anybody would even get close to Parker at this particular track, but maybe that car is not 100% as it should be.
You had mentioned at the top of the telecast today, Bill, that this is one of the greatest race courses in North America. It is a magnificent layout and the track incredibly smooth.
Oh, it is the smoothest track in North America, I'm sure of that. And the cars can be set up, because of this smoothness, a lot softer than they normally would. It's a little more comfortable for the drivers, a little easier on the tires, and it's a real driver's course.
The leader once again in the GTP division, Davy Jones of the Bud Light Jaguar, and over on the other side in the light division, Melgrati has overtaken Parker Johnstone.
Sunday on an all.
Oh, Boiselle, the winner of the Nissan Grand Prix of Miami. Welcome back once again to Mid-Ohio. I'm Joel Myers alongside Bill Adam down in the pits. Rick DeBrule and Brian Hammonds also with us on our coverage today. Boiselle running right now in 5th position, and look at the nose of the car, the new wing they've put on that car. Boiselle said before the start of the race, it's handling better with that nose and the addition, but he still needs to go faster.
Well, the addition of the wing has helped the front-end traction. Jaguars were suffering a little bit of a push problem where you turn the steering wheel, but the car wants to go straight. It is better now.
Well, earlier, Bill, you had an opportunity to get into the cockpit, sit in the car of Davy Jones' Jaguar. Let's see that bird's eye view.
There are obviously a number of major differences between your street car and the Bud Light Jaguar that we see in the GTP racing. The first of which is as you get into the car, you actually have to climb over top of the gear shift and a number of instruments that the driver can use to adjust the handling of the car as we're underway. Brake balance and front and rear sway bars. Now, directly in front of us, we have a tachometer and 2 very important gauges. Unlike the fuel gauge in your car that just uses a little needle as it moves up and down, this gauge here will start at 0 at the beginning of the race, and as the number of liters of fuel are used, it will progress up to what he's reminded to be a limit of 112. Now, when the driver sees this, he knows to get into the pits, make that all-important pit stop. Above is a blank dial that can take any number of instruments to be programmed in there. We can show fuel temperature, exhaust temperature, water pressure, anything at all, except if a problem arises, that critical problem will override what the driver is programmed, and it'll show here. We go further over to the left, and there are 3 dials here for adjusting the onboard computer, controlling timing of the engine, fuel pressure, and so on. This, again, can be reset by the crew chief telling the driver to turn each dial to a certain setting. A little further left is a rare luxury in a race car, and that is a driver-controlled system of power mirrors. You don't really think it being that much as you have them on a street car, but in a race car it's very important because different driver heights and sizes, you don't always get the clear safety of knowing what's behind you. Now, all this in a great race car for, say, $500,000, and you know what? We haven't even got a speedometer.
Oh, Bill, I don't think I'd want to know how fast I was actually going. The drivers, of course, it wouldn't hurt them. One question, though. They're not running in England today. They're not over in Europe. Why do we always see the driver on the right side, not the left side?
Well, very simply, that in most road racing circuits like this, they run in a clockwise position. So you put the driver weight on the inside of the car. It just helps the handling a tiny little bit.
Davy Jones, currently the leader in car number 2, the Jaguar, trying to lap right now. Rocky Moran is Davy Jones, who's been in the lead for the last 12 laps.
Davy is going to be very cautious at this point. Last week, it only took a momentary miscue to really cost him the race, so he wants to be doubly careful. Try and use the horsepower of the Jaguar. Oh, and look, Rocky just did something very polite there. Moved well over. He saw Davy coming up in his mirrors. Extremely nice driving by Rocky.
So a great start today for Jaguar with Davy Jones in the lead. Boiselle and their other car running 5th right now. And a solid start as well for Chevy with Tom Kendall running 2nd and Wayne Taylor in 3rd position.
Another view on top of Chip Robinson's car. This is going down to the S now. Just coming up to the corner right here is where he spun earlier in the race. You can see he's now being very careful and very smooth through that section of track.
And if anybody was trying maybe a little bit extra special today, it would be Chip Robinson. He has taken the last 2 Grand Prix in Mid-Ohio.
Well, Chip had a very interesting comment at the start of the race, and he said the driver that makes the fewest mistakes is going to win the championship, and this really appears to be coming true this year.
So car number 84 with Chip Robinson at the wheel, spinning out twice on the same lap very early, trying to make up ground right now, but he is well back because of that early problem. And back in 9th position, the leader continues to be Davy Jones. He is followed by Tom Kendall and Wayne Taylor in the Chevy Intrepids. Then it's Jeff Brabham and Raul Boiselle. Wheel of Chip Robinson's Nissan, car number 84, and this Heath Averill, red-hot driver, winning the last 2 IMSA races. He is trying to overtake now Juan Manuel Fangio II, who holds down 7th place.
And a great car comparison going on right here, too. The Toyota up ahead of us has approximately a 2-liter motor, turbocharged with a lot more pressure than the Nissan following, but the Nissan is a 3-liter engine. Both turbocharged, both highly exotic cars. Let's just compare it. Watch the difference in acceleration and braking. Look at this
down the straight. Chip's going to try pulling up to the inside to see if he can get by, but no. Fangio gets in very deep under braking, going through the corner. Now this enters the back straight. Look at the Toyota, actually able to stretch out a little bit under acceleration. Robinson will try and stay as close as possible, but that Toyota is actually pulling with a smaller motor. He's stretching the lead on the Nissan.
So the battle continues to heat up as Chip Robinson tries to move up. Tries to bounce back from that earlier disappointment, the setback we saw in the first few laps when he spun out twice. In an individual confrontation like this, Bill, do you find out a lot about each driver?
Oh, you do, definitely, because Chip Robinson has to do two things. Number one, he wants to get back up in the front as quickly as possible, but also he can't afford to make another mistake. He's made two, he's gotten away with it. The number 84 Nissan is a lot faster through this section of track, and look at how he closes up under braking here, right from this little keyhole. Look, right tight to the rear wing, almost hitting the car as they're coming out of the front straight. Then the Toyota pulls away again. Little bit faster acceleration.
So an interesting battle between two outstanding drivers, Chip Robinson of the Nissan and Juan Manuel Fangio II of the Toyota.
You can see Fangio pulls very wide to that corner. He is giving Chip a chance that if he can do it, he can take the shot and pass him under braking. He is not blocking him in any way. And I think the only chance that Robinson is going to get is under braking, because again you see Fangio's car pull ahead down the straight. Heavy braking right here. This is the end of the straight. Enter these little series of S's. Look at Robinson. Closes right back up. Almost to the point of where he can take a shot at braking, but not quite. He wants to be absolutely sure that he can pass him cleanly with no possibility of contact. Now, the next corner that we're going to watch out the windshield of Nissan, last lap was much faster for Robinson. Let's watch again and see what happens. They're going through this little valley section. You can see he's taking a nice tight inside line, and here he'll close back up again in the back of... No, he's not going to get a shot. He may get a chance of passing in there, but he definitely is not close enough yet.
So quite a one-on-one confrontation between Robinson and Fangio II.
Entering the corners, it appears that Chip is going in fractionally quicker. This is the closest he has been at this point of the track. I would expect he may try a pass now. And he has done it. He's right up the inside, very late braking, got cleanly by. Outstanding pass.
Well, earlier you had an opportunity to visit with Chip Robinson, Bill, and he made a decision at the start of the season that he wasn't going to go home to New Jersey between races.
When 37-year-old Chip Robinson goes to work, he brings his home with him. For most of the 1991 season, this Oldwick, New Jersey native has been traveling in a luxury motor coach, pulling his street vehicle behind him from track to track. A race car driver that relaxes by driving a bus? What does he do with it?
I live in the bus all the time, at the track. In between races, I either go to state parks or, you know, some place where I can park it and live for a week or 10 days, and it's really wonderful. This vehicle, you know, I've driven a lot of nice cars in my life on the road in different places, but this vehicle gets more attention than anything I've ever driven. It's really got everything that you have in your house. Of course, it's air conditioned. I've got television, VCRs. I've got two of them, one in the bedroom and one in the salon here, living room, whatever you want to call it. You know, microwave oven. I've got a barbecue grill outside that rolls out the side of the thing, and it's well equipped. At the end of the race, I get out of the car and I walk over to my house, so to speak, take a shower, and I'm home. I can relax. I don't have to worry about getting to the airport. I don't have to get up at 5:30 the next morning to catch the plane. No fight. I mean, it's just so much nicer. It really, I'm just in love with it, and I'm going to be doing it for a while.
Just a slight difference the way his bus handles in the Nissan that he's behind right now. And taking some chances, Bill, trying to gain ground.
Well, that's James Weaver right in front as he's trying to close up and get there. Oh, and we got contact right there. Chip is off the track. Again, down at the end of the straight, the car will be okay. There's no walls at that point to hit, but unbelievable day for Chip.
So that's his third spin out. He spins out here on lap number 35.
That was not Chip's fault at all. The other car just didn't see him as a little bit of smoke just comes out of the exhaust pipe there. That could just be from the turbocharger loading the motor up for a moment. It may not signal a problem for Chip.
And we're looking at the battle for second place now between teammates Tom Kendall and Wayne Taylor.
And
I'm sure Wayne Taylor is really going to be minding P's and Q's today. He will not even risk any contact between these cars. They just look so good. They're running a stable formation, but in fact, Kendall,
he's got problems, and he's off the track.
I think what happened there, Tommy got the back end of the car a little bit loose under braking. And again, these cars have power steering, very fast steering. It looks like he overcorrected slightly. That put him on the outside edge of the track where there's no traction, and he's now lost second place.
So Tom Kendall running third behind Wayne Taylor, the leader, Davy Jones. And he's got his hands full. Making a move, car number 83, Jeff Brabham.
The reason the lights are on in that number 83 car is to warn traffic he's coming through. If there's anything you can do to alert the driver up ahead that you're there, it helps you. So Jeff has the lights on, and that may occupy Tom Kendall's mind. Now the Nissan will be much quicker down the straight. Watch how he closes up on Tommy. However, I don't think he'll get a shot at... No, he's not. Now see how Tommy's protecting the inside of the track, not giving Jeff any chance at all to outbrake him as he regains his composure.
Not been a phenomenal season the way many anticipated for Jeff Brabham. Started the year with so much momentum, but it hasn't turned out that way.
Well, it's really a dramatic turn of events. I don't think anybody would have predicted that Nissan would have been almost a dark horse or an underdog. This team has been so dominant now for so many years that it's almost a case of you hope for anybody else to win.
So Davy Jones continues to lead. Now Wayne Taylor has taken over second, and the battle for third between Kendall and Brabham as they have completed 38 of 83 laps.
Let's go! Let's go! Introducing the Bud Light IMSA Racing Team. Catch it this season. Let's go! All ramped up and ready to go! How do we get the truck back? Throw it in reverse. Let's go! Me and my friends all like to meet at our favorite neighbors right down the street. Come on in, won't you please? Make yourself at home, you're at Applebee's.
At Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, we serve you fast so you can take the time to enjoy our great food, our fun mood, and our...
You can see that there's a 4-tire change going on. There's the front tires off already. The new ones are almost fitted. The back take a little longer because they've had to pull those aerodynamic wheel skirts off to get to the tires. It'll also take a little longer to get them back on. They want to do this because it does affect the road holding ability of this car. Keep them on there, keep that tremendously high downforce. See the cars up on the air jacks there, it's down, and Tom is told to get out of the pits as fast as possible now.
And that pit time, a total of 27 seconds for Tom Kendall. Almost like an emergency room situation at the hospital, Bill.
It is. The crew wait all race long for their chance to show their skill. That's when they have to do it as fast as possible. A lot of ego comes into play for the crew. They take great pride in being fast and perfect at their action.
Car number 2 continues to lead. That of Davy Jones in the Jaguar. He took the lead on lap number 7 over Tom Kendall, the pole sitter. And now the second place car in the pits, Brian.
Wayne Taylor into the pits while running in second place. This is a very routine stop. 4 new tires, a full load of fuel to put on the Chevrolet Intrepid. The team working feverishly. They use the wheel covers and the rear wheels. They lose a little bit of time in the pits, but they really pick that speed up on the racetrack because of aerodynamics. You'll see the right rear tire changer here. Put the wheel cover back on. After the wheel is secured, it takes a couple of extra seconds, but it makes the car more aerodynamic. Servicing is now finished with Wayne Taylor. The car is off the track, and Wayne Taylor is back out on the track.
Thank you, Brian Hammonds. Jeff Brabham currently in 4th place, taking his midway point pit stop. Ruggiero Melgrati continues to lead the light division in car number 80. Second place car, Parker Johnstone in the pits. Brian?
Here's Parker Johnstone in the pits for his pit stop. We heard his team owners say that they really needed to do some corrections on the handling of the race car. They will change the tire compound. The servicing is done, and Parker Johnstone is back in the race.
Jim Robinson taking his pit stop, and he has had plenty of problems this afternoon.
Chip, do you think you have too much rear brake bias? Maybe.
Communication continues between Chip Robinson and his crew. Let's find out more now down in the pit area with Rick DeBrule.
After 3 spins, there was some talk about bringing him in a little bit earlier. The concern that they might have flat spotted the tires, therefore needing to bring him in. The result, however, they decided to leave him out, go as long as they could, let him continue to fight for position, and bring him in for his regularly scheduled pit stop, which is what they are doing now. No adjustments on the car, despite the problems he's had on the track. It's the case of simply coming in, getting those new tires, and sending them back out for the battle.
Now, the rear brake bias they talked about, they can actually decrease the amount that the rear brakes are working. Very simple.
Raul Boisel in the pits.
You can hear that he is continuing to rev the motor a little bit. Not really too high, but just enough to make sure it doesn't stall. The crew is cleaning the windshield, trying to get that spotless, because every little bit. Here he goes.
And currently in 5th place, Boisel back onto the track. Now we're looking at the car of James Weaver. So Weaver is making his one stop, as well as the leader, Davy Jones, comes into the pits. Now let's see how quickly his crew can get him back onto the track, because of course it's got to be an opportunity for Wayne Taylor, the Chevy Intrepid, to pick up some ground.
This is where the pride of the crew is very important, and their expertise. They have to get him in and out with no mistakes. Every little bit helps. You can see special parts on the wheels to make them go on faster. Look at how quickly they're trying to get the skirts on. Here's Davy's fiance, Mary Elizabeth Meekum, crossing her fingers, hoping Wayne doesn't come around. I say, come on, Davy, get out of the pits. Here's the crew. They hold their hands up, signaling their jobs are done as Davy drops the clutch sideways out of the pit lane, and he still has the lead.
So it was outstanding work by the crew of Davy Jones to maintain that advantage over Wayne Taylor in the Chevy Intrepid. There's Taylor running second.
Now, Taylor is just entering the carousel at the start of the start-finish straight, just at the beginning of it, whereas Jones had just left that straight, so you can see one slight mistake could have cost him the lead.
And now that traffic has to play to Davy Jones' advantage. Something you don't see all that often, Bill, a driver change. McAdam going into the car for Burner.
No, since IMSA has shortened the formats to relatively sprint races, it's not happening very often. In a car that has an unusually... Oh, and now here is an emergency. Number 80 cars coming in with the front. The hood is badly damaged.
There's the leader in the light division, Mel Grotti. Let's find out more with Rick DeBrule.
Brings the car in. As you can see, front body work, all of this. They're going to once again take the nose off of this. Easy to do is just a few connections and it comes off. Fortunately, these teams have one standing by, ready to go for just such a situation as this. The crew members, we were talking about the fact you can compare this to an emergency room situation where firemen are ready to go. These guys have been sitting here waiting. They did not know the car was going to come in just now. They had to leap into condition. They had to be out here with the new nose, ready to go as soon as the car made it. They'll make a driver change. Send this car back out into the race.
So valuable seconds getting away from the team of Finotto and Mel Grotti.
This is why a lot of the teams are choosing to only go with one driver. Look at Martino Finotto get into the car. He doesn't even have his gloves on yet. Fireproof gloves are mandatory. There they are in his lap. They should be on. He should have been in the car ready to go right at this point, and yet he's now putting on his gloves. His helmet still doesn't have the radio connection plugged in. The crew is yelling for it. Now somebody's trying to plug him in and get him ready to go. The belts aren't tightened. A tremendous waste of time.
Let's go back down to Rick.
Well, this has turned into a very long pit stop. They have changed the nose. They have gotten the second driver in the car. Now they're taping a few of the panels down. They're going to send it back out of the way, but this has definitely hurt their chances in this race.
Well, Rick, you're absolutely right, because we have a new leader in the lights division. David Tennyson from Ontario, Canada, has just taken over, followed by Jim Pace and Parker Johnstone. Into the Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio. And a battle up front. Davy Jones continues to lead, but quite tight positioning right now for second place.
There is a really fierce battle developing here, once again, between the Intrepid teammates. You can see the car number 64 there. That's Wayne Taylor, but right up the back. And Tommy's trying to pass him right now. Kendall has gone underneath under braking, the end of the straight, and got a clean pass on Taylor. They are both following that number 84 Nissan again. Chip Robinson. Chip has had a few problems today as well. Back. Look at the Intrepid's close up on this car under braking. Incredible downforce and the turn-in ability of this car. The entrance speed is phenomenal.
And let's remind everyone, these two had an incident in the last race at Lime Rock, so you'd have to think Tommy Kendall may be looking in his rearview mirror right now.
I expect if you asked him, he would say that he wasn't. Oh, there's a little grass cutting right there by that number 65. He got forced over a little bit tight by the black light car that they were lapping. I think Kendall will be aware of the fact that this teammate is on his tail, and even though he would say that it doesn't bother him, it can't help. It's something that he will remember for a long time.
David Tennyson making a pit stop. That means we have a new leader among the lights, and Jim Pace who's taken over. So Jim Pace, the leader, and back to that battle for second place between the teammates. And look, Wayne Taylor making a move once again. He's got the lead over Tom Kendall to take over second.
This is almost unbelievable. They are going at it as if they're members of a different team. That was a fairly risky pass at that point. You can see the back of the car twitching a little bit. Taylor was under maximum braking. Kendall just kept the car out of the way.
So the Intrepid continues to impress, and this is the original drawing, Bill, from 1985, the original design.
And you can see that from that design to what we have today really has not changed very much. To think of Bob Riley, the designer of this car, designing it 5 years ago, look at how much street cars change from one year to the next. And here's a racing car that is beating the best in the world.
So Davy Jones of the Jaguar continues to lead, but you see how tight it is between Kendall and Taylor. Taylor in second, and look at Kendall in third now. That has been a problem throughout the afternoon, the door opening up very, very slightly. Let's find out about that story with Brian Hammonds.
As we watch the battle for second place between Wayne Taylor and Tommy Kendall, keep in mind, Tommy Kendall's door is broken. They could not get it fixed during the pit stop. So that door that latch is broken. It's still flopping around in the wind out there. That can be a little disconcerting at 170 miles an hour.
Thank you, Brian. That has got to be a difficult proposition for Tom Kendall. Break his concentration.
Well, it certainly can, but this man's concentration, Davy Jones, is not being broken at all. He is dominating. Now here we've got a great battle developing. Parker Johnstone, that number 48 car, is catching up to the leading car of Jim Pace.
So it's tightening up considerably now in the lights. Jim Pace just barely ahead of Parker Johnstone. In the GTP division, it's still Davy Jones leading Wayne Taylor and Tom Kendall. 9-year-old from Redmond, Washington, Parker Johnstone, as we welcome you back to the Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio. And it's very, very tight now, Bill Adam, in the light division. Johnstone right on the tail of the leader, Pace.
Parker has been using the car very, very well and closing consistently, very neatly, but not risking it. Now look at the other GTP cars just slashing through traffic. This is something you're always watching your mirror. Maybe we'll give Parker an opportunity. Look at this, late braking down the inside. And Pace, oh, he's locked up the brakes. No contact there. Parker just got on the brakes very hard to avoid contact, but the car is fine. That won't lose too much time for him.
So disappointment definitely on the face of Parker Johnstone. He tried to take that inside position, but he didn't have enough room.
Very close to having made it, but he did make the proper decision. You either keep the car where it is and risk body damage, much like what has happened to other cars today, or you back out. That's a safe place to spin out, and it won't cost him very much time. Again, now here is what happened. Look at the back of Parker's car. Look at the smoke off the tires. It's locked, and it actually comes off the ground when he hits the curb very briefly. But the track is so smooth, this won't cause any damage on the car at all. He can now rejoin the race safely.
So the young man that has completely owned this division so far this season, Parker Johnstone, losing precious seconds, but at the same time, seconds he can make up. He's already taken 5 of the first 7 races this year. And there's Tommy Kendall trying to catch up. He's running third right now, trying to catch up with car number 64 we're looking at now. Another Chevy Intrepid, that's Wayne Taylor.
I think that was graphic evidence of just how superior that car is. He was able to drive around the outside of the Toyota. Even though the Toyota was going as quickly as it could, Kendall just simply drove around him.
And now Tommy Kendall taking some chances, trying to make up that ground.
Oh, and Tommy got lost it. Sideways going into the corner. He kept his braking so late, he locked up the back wheels of that car, got a little bit out of shape. The power steering, I think, helps in a situation like that because it's so fast. The steering ratio is so quick, it helps you save the car. But Tommy can't afford to make any more mistakes like that.
And Bill, let's remind everybody, these Chevy Intrepids, you should see that door flopping around on Tommy Kendall. These are the only 2 cars with power steering in the race.
And tremendous advantage on a hot day. When you're in a car like this, you get cockpit temperatures exceeding 130 degrees. And although the cool suits do help you, you're a very tired individual at the end of the day. They are pro athletes, make no mistake about that. But it's a hard thing to do.
We're looking at the two leaders right now, Davy Jones in the white Jaguar and Jim Pace, the leader of the light division, who has yet to make a pit stop. What does that mean, Bill?
Well, I think Jim must be talking to his crew right now to find out the gap between he and Parker Johnston. Can he possibly make a stop and retain the lead?
Davy Jones with a comfortable cushion in the GTP division. He took the lead on lap number 7 if you've just joined us and hasn't relinquished it yet. Now Wayne Taylor trying to lap Jeff Brabham, who's currently in 4th position. There are only 3 cars right now, the top 3 cars on the same lap.
And I think we may just have seen Brabham make one of his most infrequent mistakes. As the car started to accelerate away strongly, yeah, here we see now, there's a very simple braking effort. Taylor really didn't have to work hard at all getting by.
So Jones continues to lead Taylor.
If you can feel it, you know you got it right. 'Cause everything else is just a light. Just keep your boy light shining. Everything else is just a light. You got to shine on. Everything else is just a light.
Wins the light division, and welcome back once again to the Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio. Joel Myers along with Bill Adam, Brian Hammonds, and Rick DeBrule down to the pit area. And as you can see, Parker Johnstone, car number 48, making up that ground that he lost when he spun out on Jim Pace.
Well, Parker is the fastest light car on the track right now. And whether or not Pace has to make a pit stop, it will only be a matter of time.
And it's not like the other drivers go into a race against Parker Johnstone with a defeatist attitude, but I know the race fans come out here and they feel that Johnstone's the guy to beat, that he's eventually going to end up the winner.
Well, I think the other drivers do think that too, and that psychological boost helps Parker's team.
Pace just hanging on.
Leaving that corner there, look at Brabham has slowed down a little bit, but he's back up to speed. I don't think there's any sort of a problem as he comes up to... Now Pace is trying an outside pass on Brabham, and Brabham does have a problem. The car is not accelerating. Pace is going by. The back of the... Oh, he got loose there. Hit the number 18 Spice. Now Parker's on the inside of him, and they've come together.
Looks like they just kissed on that corner. And Parker Johnstone has taken the lead in the light division.
The back of Pace's car was wobbling a little bit there. I don't think from a problem, just that he was on a very gray area of track where traction wasn't the best.
Let's not forget, Pace, as we mentioned, has not taken a pit stop quite yet.
A replay of what happened. Look at Pace on the outside of the track. Brabham has no acceleration to speak of at this point, so Pace is able to get by. Now watch his car when he gets deep into this corner. Bang! Up against that number 18 car. They both go over to the outside. Parker Johnson tries to sneak through the inside, but Pace manages to find him there and gives him a little nudge. Pace is forced over to the outside point of the corner where traction is very poor.
And finally, Pace does go into the pits. Brian, let's get a report.
With just 7 laps to go, Jim Pace decides to make his pit stop. The fuel is going in. They will stay on the original tires that they started the race with. There's just 7 laps to go. They just get a splash, and away Jim Pace goes. A very quick stop. He just got enough fuel to finish this race.
Quick enough, to say the least. You're looking at the leader, Davy Jones. He has led just about every step of the way.
And Davy is continuing to drive what is almost a perfect race over this man, number 64, Wayne Taylor.
So the Chevy's running 2nd and 3rd right now. But still a comfortable cushion for the number 2 car that we're looking at, Davy Jones.
It's a cushion I'm sure that a lot of people are thinking about. Davy himself, he has had a year of almost tremendous could-have-beens. He has led virtually everything. And even according to the team manager, Tony Dow, should have won 2 more races than he did win. Topeka, Kansas, and Lime Rock, but he didn't. He has fallen down a little bit in each of those races. And as a result, a lot of people are wondering, well, is Davy really the right person for this team? He has unquestioned talent, but sometimes his judgment has let him down.
Davy has already won this year at Palm Beach as Wayne Taylor tries to gain. It is very difficult, though, at this juncture of the race on the number 2 car.
Well, the number 2 car does have a lot of pressure on it, and certainly this man right here, Tony Dow, the Jaguar team manager, feels it as much as anyone. It's his responsibility to sponsors and to Tom Walkinshaw, the head man of Jaguar Racing. They have to keep this car winning.
So a very aggressive performance for Davy Jones, leading Wayne Taylor in the GTP division. Tom Kendall running third, and over on the light side, the leader is Parker Johnstone on top of Jim Pace. Remain in the Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio, and welcome back once again. The 2 leaders right there, Davy Jones in the Jaguar, car number 2, and in car number 48, leading the light division, it's Parker Johnstone.
Parker is just keeping his car out of the way right there. I think he feels that his lead is quite safe, as does Davy, perhaps.
Well, Davy Jones, Bill, leads by close to 20 seconds over second place runner right now, Wayne Taylor. What is the mindset? Because all he has to do, basically, would think, is keep it on the track.
What Davy wants to do now is to not change anything, just to keep in this rhythm that he has been in since the start. On the other hand, Wayne Taylor, running second place, has to try and push as hard as he can, because even though Davy's got a 20-second lead, one little slip and Taylor would be right there to pounce on him. Davy just continuing to motor on the track. Now his crew will be monitoring the car. Davy knows what's taking place, but Taylor will probably be pushing right now. He is hoping for an error by Jones, just to give him that one last shot at victory.
It's got to be tough on the crews.
There's as much tension here. In fact, there's probably more tension with those people right there than there is for Taylor. Taylor is cold at this point, as is Davy Jones. You drive without emotion. All you do is think about the job at hand. You don't think about the victory coming up. But the crew, they've got time to look around, to be aware of what's happening around them. They're hoping for their driver. Tremendous tension.
Less than 2 laps remain as Davy Jones is looking for his 3rd win this year. His 6th overall since coming onto the circuit back in 1985. There's his crew. Anxious moments.
You can see that they want to celebrate, but they're afraid to do any celebration yet because they have seen heartbreak come twice to them. They want the victory today, and I think Davy's going to give it to them. He is an incredibly talented driver, perhaps one of the best in the United States in any form of racing.
Jones, native of Chicago, makes his home now in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. And he is rapidly approaching the point where he'll only have 1 lap left.
We watched Davy just exit that corner there, and you saw the back of the car sliding a bit. He has not slacked off the pace. He's keeping this rhythm, the groove that he's in. At this point, it doesn't feel like he's going quickly. He's doing something that he has done 80 times before, and all of the practice as well.
And he has just crossed the finish line. That means 1 lap remains for Davy Jones.
What Davy may do on this lap is to short shift the car. Instead of using maximum RPM, drop it by 500, drop it by 1,000 RPM. He knows he's got this 20-second lead. And what he wants to do is to make sure that the mechanicals of the car don't let him down.
They are ready to celebrate. Davy Jones right now completing his 83rd and final lap.
Carefully down the back straight. Look at the room he takes moving around a slower lights car. Gentle braking here, right at the edge of the track, neatly into the apex, don't run up the curb. Everything is as smooth as possible. He is just a robot right now, not doing anything different. Very careful turnings. Look at how neat he is at all the apexes. Very, very precise.
Davy Jones getting ready for the checkered flag. Just a few anxious moments remaining, and just about a 20-second lead over Wayne Taylor, who's in second.
He may relax his concentration a tiny bit now, just to say, oh, thank you for not being any traffic in front of him. His big worry would be a car forcing him off.
Here he comes. He gets the checkered flag. Davy Jones, the winner. Here we go! The Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio. So all that hard work for Team Jaguar pays off. There's the lights leader, Parker Johnstone, not too far behind. And there's the second place finisher, also getting the checkered flag, Wayne Taylor, the Chevy Intrepid.
And I think that swerve up by pit wall was just one of happiness as the number 48 Acura, Parker Johnstone, wins once again ahead of the 4th place Jaguar GTP car.
And that is 6 wins and 8 tries this year for Parker Johnstone in that Acura.
That is one of the most remarkable records ever in the history of IMSA.
The 29-year-old from Redmond, Oregon, showing his appreciation of the fans here in Mid-Ohio. Both hands off the wheel. Both hands on the wheel, though, right there. For Tommy Kendall in the Chevy Intrepid, just graduated from UCLA, and he finishes third this afternoon. But there's the winner, the number 2 car of Team Jaguar, Davy Jones. And we'll be right back to speak with the winner. Davy Jones, the winner of the Nissan Grand Prix of Ohio. Followed by Wayne Taylor, Tom Kendall, Raul Boisel, Jeff Brabham, and Chip Robinson, also of Team Nissan. And on the light side, Parker Johnstone, a big winner once again, beating Jim Pace. Let's meet the winner.
Davy Jones taking off the cool suit, taking off the helmet. Happy 27th birthday. You dominated this race through the entire way. Was it that easy?
No, it wasn't easy at all. Any race win, no matter how much you dominated, it isn't easy. Still, it doesn't make up for those points we lost last weekend at Lime Rock, but it makes up for the pole position yesterday.
You had a couple that slipped away from you. Was that going through your mind at all at the end of the race?
Well, I was just trying to pace myself. You know, these cool suits and these things, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And unfortunately, it didn't work. So I just had to pace myself the best I could and just had to try and keep talking to myself and not think about the fact that it wasn't working. Try and not think that I was actually hot and burning. I was steam somewhere.
On the light side, Parker Johnstone picked up the victory over Jim Pace, but some very anxious moments, as you can see on lap 67. It looked like Johnstone wasn't going to pick up win numbers 6 and 8 tries. It worked out in the long run. Let's find out more on that story with Brian Hammonds.
What happened between you and Jim Pace when you came together?
Well, the first time he shut me off real hard down in turn 5 and put me off the track, but there was no contact. The second time I caught him real quick because I was mad and I was on a mission and I didn't care about the car, the tires, the engine, the brakes, and we caught traffic and he went the wrong way, got off the outside edge, and as I came around the inside of him, he slammed back into me. And once again, it's a tribute to the Spice Chassis and the Comtech crew that car held together and still did competitive lap times all the way to the checkered flag. I can't believe it.
Parker Johnstone has won 6 of the 8 light races this year.
So congratulations to Parker Johnstone and Davy Jones. And don't forget, the final leg of the Nissan Triple Crown of IMSA is coming up, not far from Bourbon Street. And even with his 6th place finish today, Chip Robinson still the overall leader in the season-long Camel GT Series. But in the Triple Crown point standings, Boisel with a slight edge over Tommy Kendall. Then it's Davy Jones, Jeff Brabham, and Wayne Taylor. Don't forget to join us the Grand Prix de Mardi Gras on the 23rd of June, right here on NBC. For Bill Adam, Rick DeBrule, and Brian Hammonds, I'm Joel Myers. Thank you for joining us, and good afternoon, everyone.
The Nissan Triple Crown of IMSA. Brought to you by Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars. By Bud Dry, dry brewed so it drinks light yet satisfies completely. By Durable Weather Beater Paint, only at Sears, the home of America's craftsmen. And by Nissan, built for the human race.